Alrighty, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Legends of Lightning workshop. We are kicking off our Lightning on Web series this week. We've got Mike from Mash, who is going to give us a live demonstration of how to use the Mash software development kit and their recently released NPM package. Mike, welcome. It's good to have you.
It's good to be on here. I'm excited to do this and share what we're building on Mash and basically how to monetize your stuff on the internet.
Yeah, cool. So today I think we're going to be playing around with the open source Dino game. I'm sure a lot of you people have probably used it before on Google. When your page isn't loading, you can hit the space bar and jump over some cactuses and stuff like that. So I'll leave it over to you, Mike, but show us your magic, and I'll join you at the end for some questions. If people have questions during this live stream as well, do you want me to just post them real time for you, or should we just do it all at the end? It's kind of up to you.
Maybe we'll do it at the end. Might just be easier, so I don't lose maybe my train of thought as I'm going through some stuff. But yeah, maybe we just collect them and I'll just kind of go through them.
Cool. All right, Mike. Well, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so before I even get started, just a little my background. So yeah, I'm a founding engineer at Mash, and basically a full stack engineer. And kind of what I've been working on at Mash and what we've been doing is trying to build a platform that helps anyone on the internet monetize what they have, whether that's video, written content, games, basically unlock different models to help them make money and kind of change the status quo of having to use a subscription or be locked into like a platform like YouTube or Twitch. So yeah, kind of get going. So yeah, kind of like what I'll be tackling is I'll kind of touch on monetizing on the web, kind of like a big topic of not a big topic, but like what I believe needs to kind of happen to make this adoption better, which is how to make it easier. I'll kind of show the Mash SDK, what it can do, and then finally a little bit of live coding, like mentioned, of the Dino Runner, and show you how you can use the Mash SDK in a couple steps to basically get it up and running and have money flow into the Lightning Network to have people play your game. So yeah, monetizing the web. What do I mean by this? This is not really like, selling products online. I mean, more so how, if I'm a content creator, how can I make money and make it, the best kind of experience for my users, whether I'm, a million user streamer or I have like 200 dedicated users who, want to pay me but can't because a platform like Twitch doesn't support that, or, it requires massive views. So kind of like, if anyone follows anyone on YouTube or Twitch or Medium, those platforms kind of, require you to be locked in and they kind of dictate how you make money on the platform. So Medium is by views, Twitch, YouTube, all kind of similar models where users can subscribe to you and, the amount of viewers really drive the amount of money you make, and users cannot directly contribute to you. Yes, they can, buy the goodies, Chuck E. Cheese tokens on those platforms. But if they just want to give you $5, usually you have to be redirected out to some sort of donation platform, throw in a credit card fees, and all that stuff. And, it's not the ideal model. Along with this is kind of driven, poor content. If I'm, a writer and I write a niche content, I might not have the amount of views to be profitable. So I can't make it, even a side hustle or a job for myself. And what that's tended to lead to is like clickbait content. The most popular streamers are not really streaming high quality content. And if you look at like gaming in general, smaller games, usually gamers cannot make as much money as like someone streaming the most popular game on the internet, which is not usually the best. And they're usually just AAA platformers. So yeah, kind of like, how do we change that? And I think Lightning is really the first door that we can open to kind of help us with that. It kind of changes how we can monetize our content. You no longer have to be stuck on a platform. You can put it on the internet. It kind of works everywhere as long as there's a Lightning wallet, and how kind of that can allow us to now think about, well, I don't have to charge a subscription, $20 a month. I can now, charge a little bit here for this piece of content, make that free, make this an exclusive, and really think about what is valuable to my users and allow my users to directly contribute to me on the web. So to kind of hit this as like why monetize with Lightning, like I said, it can be used anywhere on the internet. It doesn't require a platform. It allows basically sending any money, any amount of money, whether it's a penny, $10, 10 sats, it doesn't matter. You can send it with next to zero fees, instant settlement. And I think the big thing that it unlocks is these different methods of monetization, which is, pay per a click, pay per interaction. You no longer have to pay up front $20 and then hope you're getting good content. If you look at any, I'm a big sports guy, so any of the sports article sites, they usually make you pay up front. And a lot of times the articles are like just fluff pieces. And really, there's usually 1 out of every 10 is like very good. And you don't only have that option to pay for that. So, with this way of, with the way Lightning functions and Bitcoin in general, it allows us to now charge with these ways. So you can change how a book is monetized. So maybe no longer you have to pay $10 for an entire book. You can just pay per chapter. If you don't like the book, you can stop paying for it. You don't have that upfront commitment, and really changes the landscape of how folks can monetize. And I think the big one it changes is you no longer have to monetize based on views or like how many people go to it. If I have 200 dedicated users or even 20 dedicated users, now can contribute to me. And if I'm creating quality content for them, that I can keep making money from it. And you can even add stuff like we've seen in the Lightning space, donations, boosting, and easy things where I could just drop 10, 20 sats for you every time I'm on it. Even, I choose what I can give you. And as well as you can then kind of create your content in such a way that you can kind of guide or control how much users have to pay to view your content. And if it's quality content, users will most likely pay for it. So this is kind of like, I wrote this as like a DIY Lightning monetization. So if you wanted to from scratch, like today, set up a site and monetize it with Lightning, let's say we're doing written content, you want to be fully self-sovereign. What is that going to take? You probably have to set up a Lightning node. This could be from a hosted provider, or you just host it at your house. You got to open up channels to get connected to the Lightning network, create some content, host it online. That part's pretty simple. There's many platforms. Now you got to add payment flows. This is the part where it can get kind of tricky. If you aren't technical, you probably will have to dive into some docs to understand what's happening. But some examples of flows could be, you can use LNURL QR codes. Users can scan and donate a range of sats. If you're technical enough, you can write JavaScript code to connect to your node directly, automate invoice creation for users. BTC Pay Server supports Lightning integration, but if you look at that docs link, it's a pretty hefty amount of reading and understanding. WebLN is another avenue, but really there isn't like a bulletproof solution to just get up and running really fast if I'm not technical. There's these pieces here and there, but allowing someone who's not a developer or even someone who's like a hobbyist developer, it makes it difficult, and it can make it scary for if I'm just a creator who has a ton of content and I want to start using Lightning to monetize it. There are some apps that are starting to do it, specifically in the podcasting world, and they're doing a good job. But really, it's like we want to, make folks adopt Lightning across the web. And I think a big part of that is just making it easier. And these are the examples here, are just a few. There's just maybe tons of more pre-built solutions, widgets that people have built so far to get up and running. So how do we make it easier? There's like 3 really like groups of users I see in my mind. And that's, you have like a content creator who has no technical knowledge, the hardcore developer, and then in the middle, someone who like dabbles, in programming or something like that. And I think the Lightning community has done a great job building a lot of cool stuff, but a lot of it has been pretty technical, or it can be, scary as someone who is not in the space or is trying to think about going in the space. And, that can easily turn away users who have great content and still keep them stuck in those existing platforms. So I think an important thing is, not only, making Lightning better, and showing the strengths of it, but also building tools, whether it's APIs, apps or some stuff like that really allows users to allow them to easily monetize their content, which I think is the biggest thing. And that's going to really drive people who are maybe scared of jumping into Lightning, giving it a go. So to kind of like shorten that, have people building tools that enable to leverage the Lightning infrastructure. Like we shouldn't have to have everyone thinking about, even if you're self-sovereign, you probably will have to dive into some of this stuff, but not everyone might want that to start. And if they want to just get going with a simple donation tool, is building things that let them just drop it into their site, use it, have people, use it cross-platform, which I think is very important. People spend so much of their time on the mobile. So having solutions that only work on desktop are not viable, in my opinion. And then, making the payment flow seamless from the other side. If I'm a consumer, I shouldn't have to go through hoops and hurdles to, contribute to your site. So basically, like Lightning unlocks a lot of this stuff. I don't think it's the silver bullet to solve all the content monetization problems, but it's the foundation that unlocks a lot of this stuff. And as we see kind of, there's projects popping up here and there. The stuff that's happening in, the Bolt.fun tournament, the Legends of Lightning, and building tools that really allow people to do this very easily and not have to read technical docs, because I think that's always going to be a barrier for some folks. And if we can get past that and open it up for more people to join, it will really, one, grow Lightning adoption, and also allow people to realize that they can make money and not just have to rely on a locked-in platform where they might be censored, or just not be able to make money on there, and open up a complete different world for them. So next thing I want to touch on is, so monetizing with Mash, and specifically kind of the title of this, talk was the Mash SDK. So we recently released an open source SDK client for JavaScript. It's just a library that exposes some functions that let you basically enable Lightning monetization on your site and directly with the Mash consumer wallet. The SDK loads the wallet that provides users access to their funds on the consumer side and lets you configure your site with donations, facilitate payments, and then some other goodies that we have, which is boosts and freebies. And the idea is that to make it simple. So you just drop in the SDK. This is obviously aimed at a little bit more developer side. We have widgets that like aim it as a drop-in solution. But the idea being here is that like, hey, I write my own site. I want to write a custom solution that just ties into the Lightning network. Kind of, this is what the SDK is aimed at. So just drop out of this. If you visit NPM, you'll find it here. We've got a little bit of documentation, really exposes two main functions, which is the access function, which basically triggers a payment flow based on some pre-configured monetization. So that could be like, I'm charging a penny per click and I allow 3 free clicks. Our earner dashboard allows you to do that. And then a donate function, which lets users trigger a donation flow. And then a third one being the user has valid budget, which that allows you to basically automate some of the flow, where if a user has preset a budget for your site, you don't have to necessarily ask them to do certain steps and just trigger the payment flow directly, which is really handy and used if you've seen any of the book stuff that we've written or that we've created. So we have a Gatsby starter that leverages that. And the idea here being that you can contribute for a chapter of a book based on clicks. So you can unlock your content. And now this is a book, and this is available open source as well. But you can basically monetize a book by the chapter or even by the paragraph. The SDK kind of lets you do that. So to kind of now hit the fun part of this, I would say, is we're going to monetize the Dino Runner. And we'll just jump right into that. Cool. So we have my code. And we will just to kind of give you, if you have never seen this app, which I'd be shocked because it's the greatest thing to do when your internet's dead, is, this is the Dino game. So this is I took an open source project. They, I think, reverse engineered the game, but we're going to basically monetize this. So right now, obviously, free to play. I just added some text above, and we'll get started with the Mash SDK. And get open to Chrome. Yeah, so first thing we want to do is you've been familiar, we want to import Mash from the SDK. This gives us, we'll actually import a class for you that you can init, and that kind of gets the whole process starting. So this is my account that I have running. And Mash is going to scroll to the bottom. And then so we'll create the Mash client. I'm just going to point it at my local here. This basically initiates our client and gives you the ability to now load the Mash consumer wallet and exposes those functions that let you monetize your content. So now first step we'll do is we'll create the Mash wallet to load on the site. So simply we call the init function. You pass in this ID would be your account or earner ID account on our platform. This basically just tells us which site it is and your pre-configured monetization. So if we run this and in the JavaScript world, this just is a promise that it returns. And so we'll initialize the runner. This is the game runner. So once Mash loads, we'll initialize the game runner. And now if we go back and reload, see the Mash wallet is in the bottom corner, ready to go. So this Mash wallet is just a Lightning wallet that you can embed into any site. The funds are available. So if a consumer signs in on site A and site B, same funds are available. It's the same account. Basically, it's a embedded Lightning wallet in your site, and it works mobile, desktop. So now we got the wallet loaded. We're going to now monetize the start of the game. So we'll go back and start this. I'm just going to go here. So first thing we're going to want to do is, so because we're monetizing, we're going to use the access function. The access function takes a resource ID, this being the item. So the item that you're going to monetize would have a pre-configure. You go to our dashboard, pre-configure how much you want to charge for this item, how many freebies it has, and then you use this ID to tell our platform and tell our wallet how to complete the payment process. So here we will do that. Cool. So once this completes, we will know if the user has completed a payment or has completed the payment with a freebie if they have that available on their account. So if we don't have access, we'll just alert. We just go out of credits, return, and I'm just gonna go to the page. This, just to reset everything. Otherwise, the game will start. So if we go back to this, if everything was set up correctly, triggered. So now, this thing costs 522 sats or 10 cents USD. Purchase it, and the game starts. So we see it going. Can play. I'll hit the first cactus. Game over. Right now, if I click restart, it keeps going. Ideally, if we're thinking of monetizing this, we'll make them pay for each game that they play, like an arcade. So we'll do step 3. Just now quickly navigate to the file. So now, similar concept. We'll add the same function for this. Let's actually grab pretty much the same code. Over here. Same concept. Just gonna focus the window so our mouse is automatically navigated and we're available to play. Same concept. We're going to ask the user to pay for the next token. If you imagine our arcade, throw another quarter. If it doesn't work, we'll alert them. Otherwise, we start the game. And if we bounce back, so we're just going to restart, do the first payment. Game starts. Hit the first cactus again. This time, want to try again. All my freebies are now enjoined. I want, if I don't pay, it gives me out of the credits. Otherwise, kind of tells me, I've used 3 or 3 freebies. It's the 10 cents, and now I can authorize a budget. So if I want to, I know I'm going to play a few times, I can just set it to $5. Purchase, boom, ready to go. That was Lightning transaction. Obviously on my local machine, but that was Lightning transaction. So game over. Again, game over. I can click that and purchase complete again. I paid another 500 sats roughly, and you've now basically monetized a Dino Runner. This is pretty cool, pretty fast. A couple of lines of code, and you're integrating your site with the Lightning Network. Folks who have a Lightning wallet, our Mash wallet can contribute to your site. They can load sats into it, and now you're making money for any game that you can think of. You can even make an arcade, a site that is just an arcade, easily monetize it, and make money on content that before would have potentially required a subscription or locking someone in to funds and that they can't take out. Here, if I play it 3 times, I set a budget for $5. I'm bored after 3 plays. I leave. I can take my money, take it elsewhere. I'm not locked in. And I think this is it shows the strengths of the Lightning Network and what we could do, being that, Bitcoin and Lightning, Bitcoin specific can be used anywhere on the web, especially with Lightning integrations. It kind of makes this cool experience. And I think it will change, what people create on the web and how they make money in the web. So the last step I'll do is, what if I want a donation button on the page? So I'll click it open. I've kind of pre-configured a button. I load a button on the page. Now, button's the top left corner, does nothing right now. So we'll add some code that will just allow someone to donate very quickly. So if I go just back up here. Class of my button. So last name, button, typo, and lastly, we just look up an on click. Simple as that. And now we've hooked up a donation flow for any user if they have their Mash wallet connected. Oops. Let me go back to our site. Something crashed. Live debugging. And I'll just move this to the init function. And that should work. Oh, cool. Yeah. So again, set it. Not sure why it was not doing that, but now flow, and the button is not working. So quick live debug. It did work when I did it originally. Not sure why the button is not hooking up. and it's still not working. The good old case of live demo going wrong. But yeah, I won't delve too deep into that. Should work. Yeah, not really sure what is going on right now. Don't want to waste too much time. But to donate, it's as simple as just calling that function, and it will trigger the donation flow. So as you saw, we set up the monetization pretty fast. It was a couple lines of code, which is the goal. And hoping that, this can be used for people, whatever ideas they have in their head, use it to build some cool stuff on the internet is the goal. And share the power of Lightning and help the adoption grow, is the goal of this. So hoping, see people try and use it, tinker with it. If, there's things that are missing or you want improved, feel free to reach out. We have it, the interface of it's pretty small right now. But as the use cases pop up, we're looking to make it better and easier to build, cool stuff on the internet. So yeah, as you saw, we've, monetized the dinosaur game. It's pretty simple. You can think of many different games you can probably do that with. Thanks for listening. I hope you saw, how easy it is to use the Mash SDK and maybe have some ideas already that are going, and we'd love to see the crazy stuff that people can build with it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. That was really cool to read through. Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so usually this is a good time to just sort of have some questions answered, things like that. If anyone from the crowd, I see there are quite a few people watching live. So if anyone has any questions for Mike, feel free to just drop them in the comments, and then we can kind of ask them as we go. I have some questions though, if that's cool. So if I, as a user of Mash, is it up to me to download some sort of web extension or something like that, or is it more hosted on the actual website side where they implement it and then it pops up kind of like an intercom chat?
The idea is that it's hosted on the site, like intercom chat. And the idea is that, if as the Mash adoption grows, is that if I sign into, this Dino Runner game and you have a different site that has a game, my account's already signed in, to reduce that friction. And then, so the idea is that you can we're trying to make it as simple as possible for, consumers to spend money. So ideally, you don't have to install anything. It's there. And yeah, you can just kind of and you can contribute without, biggest thing, not having to install anything. And, it works on mobile, works on desktop.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, the mobile desktop one, I think, is probably quite important. I think our last statistics of Bolt Fun, we had like over 60% of our web traffic was from mobile. So obviously optimizing for that is obviously really important. Is it the same type of user experience on mobile as well? Just like a floating icon in the bottom right, and then it pops up?
Yeah, we shrink it a little bit to make it easier, and the interaction is a little different. But yeah, I think like the key thing, like touch on the mobile, is, and I think, people, I don't know if you've seen Apple's recently change their terms a little bit and are locking down even like the NFT space and how that is, so because they want all their money, how they do native apps. And I think, building in the browser and even looking at building apps as progressive web apps where they look almost native, and allow these kind of things would be a big part of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, for sure. I see a question has come in from Haley. She asks, can you monetize any type of web app using Mash, using the same type of method as a pay-per-use or pay-per-run, or is it specific to games?
Works for anything. It's basically the access function just triggers a payment flow based on some pre-configured monetization rules. So like, again, how much you want to charge for something, whether there's freebies or not. And like I showed with the book, that uses the same SDK. And you control what you want to do. So if you want to, build a video player and on click of a play of the video, it triggers a payment, you can do that. Not locked into games. The games are just I thought would be an interesting and fun example.
Cool. Yes, I guess there's always kind of two sides to any great product, right? There's like the user side, and then there's also quite often the business, which is like implementing the software. Um, so let's start off with like the user. Like, if what do I need to get set up with Mash? Can I sign in with Lightning? Do I just need an email? Is it a phone number? Like, how can I get set up as a user?
So as a consumer, right now we support email sign up and social. I think Gmail. We have looked at, Ellen, the one that kind of stands out there, Ellen or auth, so you can sign up with a wallet. That is something that we're, looking at and seeing the value of that. So I think the tricky part of that one is also, if we're, trying to hit like the whole world, not everyone necessarily will also have that. So it's kind of, taking, one piece at a time and trying to build stuff. And as an earner, you set up with an email, create an account, and then that's your like dashboard to configure how you like what you want to how you want to monetize stuff. We have pre-built widgets right now, and that kind of helps you get up and going faster if you're not a developer, or if you're a developer, you just take this SDK, set up your payment models and build what you want.
Cool. I'm right in thinking that you guys actually have a UI component library, right? Which is kind of ready.
Yes. We have a few widgets. One is like a paywall, a simple paywall. Another one is it's right now a YouTube player, but it's going to be an HTML5 player. Just help, like, we're trying to think of use cases that are common and trying to pre-build things so it's easier. So you don't even have to use the SDK. You just drop in. We built it on web components, and specifically we use Lit. So the idea being, it's just like it's basically a native HTML element. You drop it in, configure some HTML attributes on it, and it works out of the box. Is the idea, and that's kind of touching on making it easy for if I'm running a WordPress site, or some platforms make it much more difficult to inject code, unfortunately. But for the most part, any platform that lets HTML code, it works out of the box.
For sure. Okay, cool. And am I right in thinking is Mash custodial or non-custodial when it comes?
Yeah, so our wallet is a hosted wallet. You can pull money in and out of it. It's just invoices. The idea being that, like, we don't want this to be your, we don't want you to put all your money into here. It's like, this is your little wallet on the internet, right? You throw in how much you want to use, quickly load it back up if you need to, or if you're like, I'm done, I'm not going to use this right now, pull it out. It's all yours. We don't want to lock you in with your funds. But yeah, right now it is a hosted wallet.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've definitely had some difficulties with Bolt Fund trying to sort of monetize that and implement or electrify the site, however you want to say it, by implementing Lightning, particularly in a non-custodial way. There's a lot of issues, particularly if you're trying to like boost something and it goes from, there's a counter which comes along with that as well. The website needs feedback and needs the pre-image. So the non-custodial solution, and we were talking about the mobile versus web kind of aspect of things, and at the moment, because we're using WebLN to settle our invoices, so we can get these pre-images. It actually means that if we have like 60% of users who are, coming to our website via mobile, they actually can't even sometimes use some of these things. So I think there's always a trade-off between sort of custodial, non-custodial. You see it with Stack and Use as well. It's like super easy. But I guess the advantage of Mash, right, is that it's kind of cross website, right? So for people who are listening, it's the same wallet across hundreds of different websites, rather than I have my Stack and Use wallet and then I have my Bolt Fund wallet and then whatever it is, right? So load it up once, use it on thousands of different sites, rather than having to load up one wallet 1,000 different times.
Yeah. And like, to touch the like non-custodial, I think the other aspects of it are some things that we have a demo showing like a non-custodial, using Lightning address, I think it was, basically the whole end to end, so that we didn't even handle it. The money was just orchestrated by us and where it went, right, from point A to point B. I think the one big challenge there that's always is like, as a content creator, it's like, I want to be, self-sovereign in that, but like, what if my channels go down, or what if my node goes down, right? You're adding all these like layers of complexity. And even managing, if I want to, use Mash with a bring your own node solution, it's like, who ends up managing what is the failure case, right? And like that, and those are like complexities that I think they're going to get ironed out slowly. but they're challenges when you're building, a non-custodial solution as well, where is it the earner who has to manage that now? That's like a lot of overhead. Like, I'm creating videos 8 hours a day, and I'm hoping my site works. Now it goes down because my internet had a hiccup. The whole experience of my site's dead. So yeah, it's like a fine balance also and I think it comes down from that like angle of, who's the user, who you're targeting. And, there's going to be users who are, like, I need to be, self-sovereign. I got to manage my own nodes. But there's also going to be users who are like, I have cool content. I want to make money in different ways, and enable me to do that without having to, manage every part of the like life cycle of my product.
Yeah, definitely. There's always this kind of, I like to think of these like rings of custodianship that happen throughout sort of Bitcoin and Lightning payments. Like obviously you can be hosting your own node and things like that, but then obviously you need some sort of internet connection. And well, are you self-custodying that? Like you're probably having some sort of internet provider. Like there's always going to be some layer on top of that level of custodianship that means that self-custody is really great to a certain extent, but you're always going to have some sort of reliance. Haley has another question here. She says, can you share a little bit more about the boost button on the Mash site, which actually I'm really interested to hear a little bit about. Are they just small donations at a set amount, or is there an option to customize donation amounts like you showed in the demo?
So there's like two versions of this. So there's like a donate flow that we have, and that has right now pre-configured amounts of, I think, in USD, I think it's $1, $3, and $5. We also there's like each earner gets like a little site you've probably seen many wallets do, where they have like LN URL QR code, and then the boost button, which you may have seen on our homepage, you may have seen on some other sites that are using it, as like a lightning bolt or a heart or a fire. Throw some emojis when you click it. That one is pre-configured, I believe, to be 5 cents per click, and it's kind of like more of an engagement where you can just like click it a whole bunch of times, 5 cents per click. That's like a drop-in solution. There's kind of two. So we have pre-configured donation amounts, which the SDK exposes to that donate function, and then there's a boost widget that we offer that lets you just drop in a button. It has some emojis flying out of it when you click it, and that is set to be 5 cents per click. So however much you click, that's how much you donate to the earner site.
Cool. And so from the earner's perspective as well, like what kind of pricing models does Mash have? Like if I want to integrate Mash into my website, maybe I'm a musician or whatever it is, and I'm looking to kind of sell albums or just allow my users to, send me a boost or whatever it is, like what are the is it like sort of tiered pricing, or is it sort of pay per use? Like how do you guys do that?
Right now we have, like the pay per use model where you set, how much per interaction. That's kind of the one that we built out, the core one. With that comes around, you can you can do like 3 free interactions per month, as well as you can set like a spend limit or spend cap, we call it. So let's say, I charge, a musician, for each song listen, it's like 10 cents a song listen. But hey, if you spend, $4 in this month, the rest of it's free for the rest of the month. And so like we have that available. The boosting is just as in like, it's more, you just throw on your site and, it doesn't block content or anything like that. It's kind of like it's like if you're kind of concerned if people are going to pay for a content, you can see if people want to contribute through a boost. It just lives there on your site. The user wants to contribute, they can. But that's like the core models we have available right now. There are other ones that, we are looking at and we're thinking of building, whether it's like streaming stats for music, or videos. So you can 10 cents per 30 or 10 seconds of music or, a video. So there's other models that we are looking at, but we are in the, we've kind of took that as the first one and are building on top of it.
Sure. Okay. So that makes sense, obviously, from the user side. But from the side of someone who's looking to monetize their own website. So let's say I want to allow people to send me money or whatever it is. Am I paying for like a Mash subscription in order to have that functionality in my website? Or is it that you guys are siphoning off a small transaction fee and that's how you're kind of keeping things running? Like, is it free for me to use basically? or do I have to pay for it?
Yeah, so the best answer after that is we're still ironing that out.
Okay.
So right now we're just trying to get users to, get up and running. It might be a small fee. It might be maybe a subscription model. I think we'll have to figure out what makes the most sense. But the idea is, we're trying to learn as much as we can. It is such a new space. So we're trying to get people to integrate with it, see what works, what doesn't work, building new features. But yeah, it'll be something along those lines.
Cool. And do you guys have any, have you guys looked at any of the new sort of specs that are coming out? Maybe something like Taro? Are you going to integrate some of these other tokens over Lightning, whether it's USD or Edcoin or whatever it might be? Obviously, this is all it's still in its alpha. It's very bleeding edge. But have you guys had any conversations about that?
We definitely we keep up with what's coming out and we've seen it. We haven't had deep conversations around are we going to use Taro? What can we do with it? I think maybe as it evolves and gets a little maybe out of the alpha, and there's more use cases, it's definitely something that we might look at. But we're trying to keep it Bitcoin Lightning Network at its core. But yeah, we look at every from the Ellen Earl specs and stuff that comes out, Bolt 11, Bolt 12 stuff. We're just trying to build what makes sense without overbuilding or going down rabbit holes of things that might be good. So it's like a balancing act. Like I said, a lot of cool stuff's coming out, and it's finding the things that make sense and making it easy for both sides. For developers, I'm seeing that question there. I'll kind of just maybe hop onto that question. And no code site builders, right? That's a lot of people use those. And yeah, so we have a WordPress plugin that helps simplify a lot of this. So we have a WordPress plugin that lets you load your the whole Mash platform into your site without any sort of code. We have blocks that you can use to add stuff. So we're trying to make it as simple as possible on that platform. We do have a Wix integration coming soon-ish. We're deploying. That platform is interesting. They don't make it that easy to do stuff. But yeah, we are, we're trying to make, no code site builders as easy as possible as well. Because there's a lot of users that, those are probably the ones that don't really know how to, or they don't code, right? They use those platforms for a specific reason. It's a GUI, you can drag and drop. And enabling those platforms to use Mash is important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we spoke briefly before we kind of started this about the importance of kind of tools and resources for particularly sort of non-technical folk to start playing around and experimenting with Lightning, maybe integrating it into their site, monetizing content and stuff like that. So really happy to hear that you guys are kind of playing around with some of those no-code tools, whether it's Wix or WordPress. So hopefully more people who, even if it's just, I have no idea how to create a website, but I just want to create a simple blog through something like WordPress, being able to plug in Mash and receive tips or donations or boosts, whatever it is huge for people that, previously it would probably have to be some sort of manual configuration of getting this in, maybe having my website talk to Albi or something like that. So this seems like a good step in the right direction for people who are slightly less technical, right?
Yeah. And I kind of, you mentioned we were talking before, and I think it's important because there's a lot of cool stuff being, built, but sometimes, it's developers building, it's easy, you build something very technical, very cool, but it's not always the easiest to integrate, or, you have to spend a couple hours reading, understanding what it's doing, how to configure it, whether it's just on your node or on your site. So yeah, keeping that in mind that, there's going to be tons of users who have no idea how to do any of that stuff, and how do we get them onboarded, whether it's on Mash or just Lightning in general, and showing them the value of what with the stuff that we're building, and how we can use it to make their stuff better.
For sure. And so if I am obviously we're just talking about non-technical people trying to do this, but if I am, you mentioned a good point there, is that even developers sometimes get stuck with these quite sort of heavy resources or documentation. There often has to be quite a lot of preamble or reading that has to be done. There was even someone I was speaking to the other day who was a developer who was saying that in order to implement some package which someone had released, they had to first take like a 2-hour Udemy course just to learn how to it's like, if a developer has to do that, how many hoops do you think that a non-technical person has to jump through? But if I am a developer and I'm looking to sort of start building with Mash and stuff, have you guys got a bunch of good resources, maybe some YouTube videos, or even just like a channel that I can jump in to get some help?
So resource wise, probably that like NPM package is probably our cleanest documentation to get up and running. So I'd probably say like that. If you're like thinking, oh, I want to use the Mash, I want to build, like, I'm a developer, I'm going to build a React app, want to get Mash in there, I'll say like use the SDK. Feel free if you run into bugs, you're like, I need this, I want this, use the GitHub platform for the issues. We do have a Telegram group right now. I don't have the links, but I can send them. We can always attach them to the video. So we have a Telegram support group. I think we might have a Discord one soon, so that we can have, people building stuff, sharing stuff. Because that's like the biggest thing is, getting feedback from people that are building with it, using it, because that helps us build, better features, improving things that we currently have. That's kind of, those are probably the two best sources. And just getting people to get used to using the SDK, and want to see some cool stuff being built.
Cool. Yeah, we'll definitely drop some of those resources that you mentioned in the show notes after we're done. I would highly recommend Discord. We've had a really great experience with it with our community. I think we've got nearly like 400 Lightning devs in there, and also non-technical people as well. But it's really great because when you have a place where people can come and get help and stuff, obviously it starts out a lot as like you and the other engineers on your team are like helping people through, but then we've definitely realized like recently it's actually more makers helping each other now, because someone's looking to implement ln URL auth, and then someone has literally just done it and they come in, they write an article about it. So having those like really bustling developer hubs, and also obviously for non-technical people too, whether they're just looking to use it as a website plugin, or if they're a designer, whatever it is, like having those communities is great. So I'd highly recommend Discord. One final question, if I may. So Legends of Lightning is happening right now. It's this the tournament that we're hosting. It's running all the way until December 7th. Entries are obviously still open. We've got like 40 projects being built at the moment. It'd be great to see someone build with Mash. With or without Mash, are there any apps or tools that you'd like to see as a developer or as a Bitcoiner, however you want to answer it, that maybe haven't been sort of approached yet, or maybe ones that you've seen that you think that could be quite interesting?
Trying to think. Definitely something like, so I think games is a cool one on the web. Just in general, like, there's so many tools now to build. Like you don't have to use Flash, JavaScript and all that stuff. There's open source games. I'm a gamer myself, so maybe I'm skewed in that view. It'd be cool to have like not a marketplace, but like an open source arcade where you can drop in games. Like I write a JavaScript game, I can make funds. I don't have to host a site, but I can like throw it on a platform. People can pay me through Lightning for my game for plays. And one, it's like, I think it'd be cool to see what kind of games people make. Two, it's like, I think games are the easiest way to get people to code. It's like a nice entryway, in my opinion, of like, you're not coding, boring stuff. The traditional, like implement a list, implement an array. It's like, you can do some cool stuff. So I think like a platform like that would enable people to just like host or build their game into a site, and then they can have it there and monetize it, without having to like have a game per site kind of concept. In terms of just like minor features and stuff, I see the one up there from the Mash, I think it's Jared, but Votes is cool. Upvoting, downvoting, like across the web, and not having to like implement your own solution would be cool. But yeah, for something that I like in my mind, yeah, like I think it'd be like a cool internet arcade that anyone can build a game for and make money off of it. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Nice, cool. Yeah, I also a bit of a gamer myself. Quite enjoy that. So I'm always up to see these things being built. Actually, I had an idea as well for I don't know if you ever came across a website called Cheese Wizards. It was like an Ethereum based game actually a few years ago. But I feel like that could be redone with Bitcoin really easily now. And actually, there was someone, I think it was John Cantrell, maybe, who's working on a game called Stacker, which sounds kind of similar. So yeah, hopefully we'll see some cool ones come out of the woodwork for Legends of Lightning. But yeah, great as always, man. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Won't chew your ear off too much more. But yeah, we've actually also got another one coming up from one of your other engineers, right, later in the week.
Yep.
So we're going to be talking about Lightning Address and kind of like, again, how to kind of add it to your user experience. But yeah, big thanks to the Mash team. And we'll send people your way, obviously, if they need some help with some of these things. Just to leave people, where can they find you if they want to get in touch?
You can find me on Twitter. It's in my slides. It was somewhere in there. It's 1 second. It's 4Ms. You may have seen it. Yeah, if any of the videos that were tagged, 4Ms SDERDV. I'm not sure where I can write that, but
I'll just post it on there. Don't worry.
yeah, that one. On Twitter, feel free to DM me if you have any questions or just tweet at me. I'll gladly answer them.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much, Mike, and we'll catch you next time.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching, everybody. You too.